That's why we're going to introduce a man named Nehemiah. He was not a prophet. Nehemiah wasn't a priest. Nehemiah wasn't a warrior. He was a cupbearer, an ordinary man. For weeks we've talked about the upper room. We've talked about Pentecost. We've talked about the Holy Spirit. Pentecost was the starting line. Before there was a rebuilt wall, before there was revival, before there was leadership, before there was movement, there was a burden. Now before we read the story, I'm going to give you a little bit of context for y'all who don't know Nehemiah's story. If you don't understand what's happening, you'll often miss why Nehemiah himself was so devastated. So we see here in Nehemiah, Jerusalem was a shadow of what it once was. But because of generations of rebellion and turning away from God, judgment eventually came. The Babylons invaded Jerusalem. The temple was destroyed. The city was burned, and the walls were torn down. Everything they knew was gone. Everything they built was gone. Eventually, some of the Jewish people returned to Jerusalem, and the temple had been rebuilt. The walls were still broken. The gates were still burned. The city remained vulnerable. Ancient people heard wall, and they heard survival. It was their identity. It was their protection. It was their strength. And without walls, they were exposed. I'm here to tell you, without walls, sometimes you can be exposed. Without walls, anybody could come in and take whatever they wanted. So when Nehemiah hears the walls are broken down and the gates have been burned with fire, he's not hearing a construction report. They're vulnerable. And that's why this story matters. Because there's a lot of people in this world and the walls are broken. Because Nehemiah isn't ultimately about rebuilding walls, it's about rebuilding people. The people were the real issue. And if we're honest, most of us have walls in our life that have fallen down too. Maybe it's your marriage. Maybe it's your calling. Maybe it's our culture. Maybe it's that something has been broken. Something has been exposed.